Hi, this is Brian Panish from Get in the Game podcast for lawyers and people interested in the legal field. I hope you like what you're hearing, and remember, sharing is caring. So get in the game. Hi, today we are lucky to be joined by Reuven Moskowitz, the founder of Litify LLC. Reuven is also the chief operating officer of the Morgan & Morgan law firm with over 30 law offices around the country and over 300 lawyers. Additionally, Reuven is a graduate of the Harlan Fiske Stone Law School at Columbia University, and we're really honored to have Reuven here to talk about what he's been doing and what he can do to help all of us in the future. So Reuven, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
Let's talk a little about your background. You have a great, interesting background. Did you start out wanting to be a lawyer?
No, just not really. I mean, both my parents were physicians. My mom is an OB/GYN. My dad's a family practice doctor, and really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but always thought that maybe law or maybe medicine or something, but mostly was always interested in business. My older sister then did become a lawyer. My brother was starting law school, and actually my first job was at a law firm. So that was my first exposure to the law, but initially it was mostly the business side of things that sort of attracted me.
Okay, now I know you, because of your work you did in high school and many AP classes, I think you were able to graduate from college in less than 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, so I went to religious school, and then post high school I studied Talmudic law. So I was able to get a lot of credits from that, and then go to Fairleigh Dickinson where they accepted a lot of those credits. So I was able to finish college in pretty record time.
But you didn't stop there. When you got out of college, you immediately hit the ground running. What did you start doing? Well, you were probably doing that while you were in college also.
Well, my first job was actually at a law firm right near where I lived, and they were doing things like plaintiff side litigation, mass tort litigation. And I was brought in to help them with the marketing and the operations and trying to figure out what technology solutions they should use. And at that time, at that firm, really what I recognized was that our industry was really fragmented and didn't have that good of a technology solution. They really weren't doing marketing in sort of the 21st century way. And not only did I get exposed to the opportunity in the industry, but also starting to experiment with sort of best-in-class technology and best-in-class marketing for sort of every other industry was using at the time. So that was my first job. It was before I started law school, and at that point, I really, I guess, resolved to figure out a way to do the business of law and go to law school to do that.
Tell us about this company that you were involved in, Penguin Digital. What was that? What did you do, and how did that help you in what you do today?
So after I was working at the law firm, I had this idea that most people were no longer taking photos and pictures on their traditional called DSLR or point and shoot cameras. All the pictures were going to be taken on their smartphones. And there were these web-based businesses, predominantly web-based companies that allowed you to take your camera, hook it up to your computer, upload photos, and buy different photo products, different photo tchotchkes. And the thought was, hey, if everybody's taking their photos on their smartphones, then we'd be able to just allow them to buy the products that they would need and want, and gifts and things like that directly from an app. So built out a company that was doing just that. So it was essentially competing with sort of the traditional old way of doing things with the newest way and the most convenient way for consumers. That company was Penguin, and then I actually I reached out to the CEO of Shutterfly reached out and said, hey, this is amazing. We need to be in this business too. Sold my company to them, and that really that experience of not only building the company but then working at Shutterfly, I was a director there of mobile for 3 years, really gave me a lot of exposure again and experience to what building a company, selling a company, and really learning about technology at scale.
Well, you also then refined or worked on these various mobile applications. Is that right?
Sure. Yeah. At Shutterfly, I was director of mobile, and at Shutterfly, we launched a couple of apps and really their business was not really in that mobile space then. Today, if you look at sort of the Shutterfly ecosystem of products, it's very much mobile based and mobile first. So they've done a really good job using some of the tools we brought in and some of the team that we sort of established for them. So yep, we definitely built out a couple of mobile products and was tremendously successful doing that.
Can you explain to our listeners why the mobile versus just the desktop? And I'm sure I'm not explaining that correctly, but why is that so important into today's world?
I think in today's world, it's probably, I would focus on two areas. One is not only are people more often on their phones, are doing things that they traditionally would not do on their phones. So they're not just doing those tasks that used to happen on other platforms on mobile. So you have this transfer of the existing applications from either desktop or offline to mobile. But the second thing is just the amount of time people spend on mobile is just exponential. So there really hasn't been a platform before mobile where you had that much time and real estate and an opportunity really to connect that we had before. So you have this transfer of how people are doing things. I think the photo application is a great example of that. People were taking photos before, but now they're doing it on their phones. And the second thing is people were spending a lot more time on their phones. You have both of those dynamics.
And not only lawyers, but all businesses need to adapt to that changing dynamic of the mobile versus the desktop.
Yeah, I think in every way, if you're a business that's servicing consumers are going to be on mobile. So as you think about it from the legal profession, at every step of the funnel, which is first part is how are you generating business? Is it through directly marketing? Even from marketing online, where do you think that consumer is going to do when they hear about your brand, hear about your company? They're going to go on their phones and do a Google search for you. What does that experience look like? How do they then interact with you on their phone? So you think about it all the way on the marketing case acquisition side. But then even as you continue that, both on the user experience side, but also lawyers themselves, they're on the go, they're taking depositions, they're in court, they're in trial. They need to be able to access information. They need to be able to see information. So creating a good experience, first and foremost for consumers and how they're choosing which lawyer to hire, how they're interacting with the lawyer and their case staff, how they're getting information about their staff, and also empowering lawyers with better tools so they can actually provide a better service is definitely key, and mobile is a big driver for that.
Then there was a sudden change in your career. You made a trip to Puerto Rico. Had you ever been to Puerto Rico before?
At that time, I don't know if I had been to Puerto Rico before that.
And what happened in Puerto Rico that kind of changed the direction of your career?
There was an event that we like to call it the Eureka in Puerto Rico event, which is where I met John Morgan, and we were both invited to this event. He was sort of invited. I was like brought along, and I see John there, and I had heard about him obviously, but I'd also read his book when I was at my first job that I mentioned earlier at this law firm. And I remember reading his book and thinking to myself, "Wow, this person has got it figured out, and really this person is really well along the journey towards building this powerhouse and what he calls the Google law firm." So I approached John Morgan and said, "Hi, my name is Reuven Moskowitz. I read your book," and we started talking. And I say, "Hey, the only thing I think really, in order to execute this, you really have to have a technology component. You have to have process and scale." And John's reaction to that was, "Of course. I mean, that's what I've been saying. And I've been looking for somebody to help me do that. And I've been looking for somebody to help me build that." He says, "I'd love for you to come on board with me, and let's go out and start doing this. Let's build a Google law firm. Let's build out the firm that he had started almost 30 years ago, and really accelerate the growth and accelerate the expansion and in terms of diversification, in terms of owning more market share, in terms of expanding the practice areas, and then using technology to empower that." So that's when this Litify concept was born. Essentially, that we couldn't do any of that scale unless we had great technology. So that meeting in Puerto Rico really was a pivotal moment for me, and it's been an incredible change, sort of in terms of the trajectory.
So John Morgan has always been saying, if Google was to create a law firm, what would it look like?
Yes.
And now you have come in, and how long ago was that meeting?
About 4 years ago.
And in 4 years, you've been working on executing the creation of a Google-like law firm, correct?
That's right.
Now, obviously, that just didn't happen overnight. You also became the chief operating officer of this large mega law firm with over 30 offices and 300 lawyers. But yet, that most of that is located in the Southeast, although it's now in the Northeast and other places. But you're based in New York. How do you do that?
Yeah. So I was charged with this task of building the Google law firm. And essentially what the Google law firm is, if Google was a law firm, what would Google be? Well, it would be everywhere for everyone. It would be able to service people no matter where they are and no matter what their plight is, what their need is. And we embarked on that journey in terms of opening new markets, in terms of diversifying the kind of things we could help clients with, whether it's environmental issues or class actions, pharmaceutical cases, product liability, fire cases. And the charge was exactly that, be everywhere for everyone and really expand in doing that. And we did that here. We opened up sort of the Google law firm HQ, so to speak, here in Brooklyn because there was talent that I'd known and sort of worked with over the years, but also it's a great hub for people who are really ambitious and looking to build these kind of platforms and these kind of technology. Just, you know, when we started this journey a few years ago, we were about 300 lawyers or a little bit less. This year, we're going to be at about 600 lawyers. We had about 1,000 employees then on the Morgan side. The firm will have about 3,000 employees this year with over 60 offices. So definitely, it doesn't happen overnight, and it's a broad range of different initiatives. I think the key initiative, though, that has driven much of this is John's emphasis and focus on client experience and really focusing on making sure that everything we do is with the client's interest first. And when you think about what clients expect in today's day and age, they want predictability, they want transparency, they want the ability to communicate with a high frequency and really at their pace. So being able to think about what kind of experience consumers want today has really been the driving force and the driving focus for a lot of the projects and a lot of success we've had in doing this.
To give our listeners just some understanding, I mean, I wasn't even aware of the number of lawyers, but for Morgan & Morgan, let's take on an average month. How many client inquiries are you dealing with?
So on an average month, Morgan & Morgan will receive between phone calls and chats and form fills around 250,000, 250,000 inquiries a month.
250,000, and you multiply that out for you, we're talking 3 million potential clients contacting the firm?
Yes.
And how do you manage or have a database or something so you know what's going on, who called, where'd they call from, who's handling that matter? Yeah,
so in this journey over the last few years, John and I have spent a lot of time together and really thinking through, and he's obviously spent a lot more time than I have over the last three decades, thinking about how do we actually create a system and a process to do this. And one of the earliest charges were automation and transparency, Reuven. If we're going to do this, we need to build automation, and we need to have an incredible amount of transparency, not just incredible, an infinite amount of transparency. And those two principles really have allowed us to build an infrastructure, a system, and strong process to be able to handle those inquiries and service more clients, and also deliver better results, in every way in terms of the experience they have, but also in terms of what the results we could get for our clients are. So in terms of how do we handle it, a lot of it is through those two principles. There's a lot of automation that goes into understanding how we train people, how we onboard our employees, how we make sure that we're getting in touch with clients, not just timely, but also frequently, making sure that our clients feel like they are always able to access our lawyers. And really, because of those principles, we're able to service clients in a way that even a firm that handles a fraction of what we handle can't really even do. So in terms of how quickly we get back to clients, how often we get to clients, how much transparency we can provide to them, and also, predictability. One of the big themes that John has really put out there, which is, all law firms are not the same. But when you come to Morgan & Morgan, no matter what, no matter which lawyer, no matter which city that you're coming to us with an issue, we'll be able to provide a very consistent and very defined client experience.
Okay, so to do that, you had to develop some software. You created a company. Talk to us about that.
So it's exactly right. In order for us to start this mission and really build this out, we had to build a technology that's called Litify. And what Litify really is something that almost every other industry has already. And as lawyers and law firms, historically, we've been very slow to adopt sort of best-in-class technology. And where you have industries like healthcare and finance and accounting and other service industries, but also other banks, the military, airlines, they are all using sort of these best-in-class technologies to develop strong process and help them scale. But what we saw in the legal industry was we have a lot of very point solution oriented technology companies. So there's a company that lets us do intake. There'll be a company that'll help lawyers do their matter management, another company for document management, versus having a single platform where law firms could run their entire business. And in order to really execute on an automation and a transparency directive, you really have to have an integrated solution where you could actually see everything going on and then set strong processes to make sure that it's happening the right way, the same way every time. So what we did was we partnered with Salesforce, which is one of the world's largest enterprise company. They're a $150 billion company that had traditionally had a difficult time historically getting law firms to adopt that platform or sort of the standard technology. And there's a reason for it, because if you want to just go buy Salesforce off the shelf, it really isn't adapted for our industry. There really isn't the right nuances, the right nomenclature, the right just framework for lawyers to actually run their cases. For example, the document management or intake management or document generation and things like that. So we created a package that lives on top of Salesforce, which is Litify, that actually allows a law firm to manage their entire business on a single platform. Gives them the ability to really dictate how things should be handled. Gives them the ability to have tremendous transparency into what's happening at their firm. So which lawyers are doing what and how their lawyers are actually performing relative to each other. And making sure that you really have that ability to set the standard for whatever your law firm does. So we started that company a little over 2 years ago, and with the mission to really bring best-in-class solution, not just to Morgan as a client of that solution, but also to service other firms using that same principle of best-in-class single platform technology. So, one of the other benefits that we have is that being a partner of Salesforce, you get all the value add that they continuously deliver into the platform as well.
Talk to me about Litify and how you try to connect lawyers around the country that have the application, that if Morgan & Morgan gets a case in a place where this lawyer is located as part of the Litify network, they can immediately email the case and how they go about dealing with it.
Sure. One of the initial challenges we looked to fix and sort of develop for us as we started growing was we're opening into new markets, or we had case types that we weren't currently handling. How do we make sure that even if we couldn't help that client, we could get that client to a lawyer or a law firm that would be able to help them? And how do we actually do that in a way where we can manage that process to find out where are the lawyers, who are the lawyers, and then actually see where those cases are up to. Previously, it wasn't just manual where you'd have to then get the client, then pick up a call the lawyer, they weren't answering, get another lawyer. So it was really manual and it wasn't a great experience. But also there was no transparency. So there was really no ability to understand where those cases were up to. So a client will call and say, hey, you referred my case to this lawyer. I can't get in touch with them. Where's my case up to? So really to scale this concept of the Google Law Firm, we had to build a solution that allows us to send these referrals out in an automated way where we know who our partners are, where we know that we're going to have transparency into the platform, and we use Litify to do that. So Litify has a referrals component within it, where the lawyers who are getting cases that they don't handle are able to send them out to other lawyers that they develop relationships with. Those lawyers are able to get a dashboard for free and see the cases as they come in if they want to handle.
What is a dashboard? Explain that.
Sure. So there's dashboards are a concept within Litify and on the platform that allow you to actually create specific type of metrics that you care about. So, in the framework of what we were just talking about on the referral side, you're actually able to create a dashboard that your partner law firm sees the cases that are going out to them, and they're able to accept them. But I guess in a more broad sense, to your question about dashboards are a key driver of the value within Litify. And because everything happens on that single platform that I mentioned before, so your cases, where they're coming from, or what are your lawyers working on, or what the progress that are on those cases, you're able to build really neat and simple dashboards, so you could see actually everything going on at your firm, with your clients, with your cases.
If somebody wanted to learn more about Litify, where would they go to learn about it?
They could. There's two great ways to learn. One is on our website at litify.com, and law firms are welcome to go visit there, of course. But it's actually really neat to take a demo, and we have a team that focuses just on that. So if anybody who's listening wants to get a demo of the product, please do reach out. You go to litify.com, you fill out a form, and we'll actually set up an in-person or an online demo, so you can actually see how the platform works and how it actually drives value and things like that.
Okay, Reuven, we really appreciate you. We're running out of time. We want to have you back to further see how this journey, and I think, as I learned from Steve Jobs, the reward is the journey. So good luck on continuing through that rewarding journey. It's helping all of us, and it's helping lawyers do a better job for their clients, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Hi, this is Brian Panish from Get in the Game podcast for lawyers and people interested in the legal field. I hope you like what you're hearing, and remember, sharing is caring. So get in the game.